When a real disaster hits your home, chances are it's not going to be some big, dramatic fire. It's going to be water. And dealing with it is this surprisingly complex and super fast-moving crisis. But the professional response? It's a fascinating journey, really, from total chaos to complete control. So today, we're going to break down exactly what happens, from the second that water gets in, all the way to the final all clear.
So I want you to think about it for a second. What's the thing you worry about most when it comes to your property? A fire? Maybe a break-in? Well, what if I told you that the most common, the most persistent threat is something else entirely?
Yep, it's water. And the thing about water is it's relentless. It doesn't just damage your stuff, it invades. It seeps into every single crack, and it works against the clock to create even bigger problems down the line. It's kind of the silent disaster that happens way more often than any of us really think.
So where does all this water come from? Well, most of the time, it's not from some massive hurricane. Most water damage emergencies actually start with the boring, everyday things you'd never see coming.
And when you look at the usual suspects, what's so striking is just how normal they are. A single little supply hose on your washing machine can burst and dump, get this, 400 gallons of water an hour. Or your air conditioner drain line gets clogged up in the attic, and suddenly your ceiling is about to collapse. These are the things that turn a totally normal day into a huge problem.
And here's a number that completely changes the game, especially in humid places like, say, South Florida. We're talking an average year-round humidity of over 70%. Now, that doesn't just feel sticky and uncomfortable. For water damage, it's an accelerant. It's like pouring gas on a fire.
And this is exactly where that secondary threat, the one everyone dreads, takes hold. All that moisture already in the air is literally rocket fuel for mold. When you add a water leak to an environment like that, mold doesn't take weeks to grow. Nope. It can set up shop and colonize in just 24 to 48 hours. The clock starts ticking immediately.
So that ticking clock brings us right to the emergency response. When the professionals get that call, their entire mission is basically defined by what they can accomplish in that very first hour.
The whole guiding principle is simple. Every single minute counts. Because water spreads. Drywall acts like a sponge, wicking it upwards. Wood framing starts to swell. Every minute you save is another piece of your property that's protected from that secondary and often way more expensive damage.
And the response is incredibly methodical, like a well-oiled machine. First up, find the source and shut it down. Step 2, get all that standing water out, and I mean out with these huge, powerful truck-mounted extractors. Third, you contain the damage. You put up physical barriers so it can't spread. And finally, and this is the cool part, use tools like thermal cameras to find the water you can't see, the stuff hiding inside your walls and under your floors.
Now here's something really important. Not all water is created equal. The pros immediately classify it. Category 1, that's clean water, like from a burst pipe. Category 2 is what we call gray water. It's got contaminants, maybe from a dishwasher or washing machine. And then there's Category 3, or black water. That's the really nasty stuff, like sewage or floodwater, and it requires totally different safety protocols.
Okay, so once that immediate emergency is under control, the mission shifts. It's not just about removing the visible water anymore. Now it's all about the scientific process of getting the structure itself completely dry. This comparison really tells the whole story, doesn't it? The DIY approach, grabbing a few household fans, might make the surface feel dry, but it's pure guesswork. The pros, on the other hand, bring in the big guns, industrial-strength dehumidifiers to pull moisture out of the air, and high-velocity air movers to supercharge evaporation. And get this, just opening a window in a humid climate, that can actually make things worse by letting more moisture in.
This brings us to a key scientific idea. It's a big word, psychrometrics. But don't worry, it sounds way more complicated than it is. It's basically the science of how temperature, humidity, and airflow all work together. Professionals use it to manipulate the environment inside your home, to make the air itself thirsty for moisture. The air movers make the walls and floors release their water, and then the dehumidifiers just grab it out of the air. It's a strategic cycle, not just blowing air around.
And you have to understand this process takes time. It is not an overnight fix. You can pretty much expect to have this heavy-duty equipment running 24/7 for 3, 5, maybe even 7 days. And every single day, technicians come back to take moisture readings from deep inside the drywall, the woodsteads, and the subfloors just to track the progress scientifically. And here is maybe the most crucial point of all this.
The goal isn't just dry to the touch. The goal is hitting a very specific, verifiable moisture level that's set by industry standards. It's called the IICRC dry standard. Reaching that standard is the only way to guarantee that you're not going to find mold or rot popping up a few weeks or months down the road.
All right, let's talk about the final phase, moving from a dry structure to a complete resolution. The loud equipment is finally gone, but there are still a few really important things to get your head around.
And this is always the first question, right? For very good reason. It's the big one on everybody's mind. And the answer, as you can probably guess, is, well, it depends on what caused the water damage in the first place.
Generally, here's how it works. Insurance usually covers damage that is sudden and accidental. You know, that burst pipe or the washing machine hose that lets go. What they almost never cover is gradual damage from a lack of maintenance, like a slow leak under the sink that you knew about but didn't fix. And this is critical. Damage from rising groundwater, like from a storm surge, requires a totally separate flood insurance policy.
Which really brings us full circle. The most powerful tool you have to protect your home is your own awareness. Since those gradual leaks often aren't covered, catching the small signs early is the absolute best way to prevent a catastrophic and really expensive disaster.
So what should you be looking for? You got to become a detective in your own home. Don't ignore a musty smell. Look closely at your baseboards and paint for any bubbling or warping. If your wood floors start to buckle, or you see a sudden, weird spike in your water bill, your house is trying to tell you something. These are the early warnings of a hidden problem.
And that's the real takeaway here. The professional process is incredible. It's designed to bring your home back from a crisis with scientific precision. But having the knowledge of what to look for, how to spot those early signs yourself, that's what can keep you from ever having to make that emergency call in the first place.